we won 3-2, and I went out the room because I said, this is useless, we were losing 2-1. And I said, this is it. I said, I don't even care who wins this anymore. And went out and stood in the hall because I thought, can't stay away from the television. We'll score, and we did. But the thing this morning is, you said it, and then it happened. How can that possibly be?
Also, we've got our live text subject this morning on bbc.co.uk/football. We want to know the thing that you most remember from attending your very first match.
Yeah, well, it's just a little snapshot. It may not be to do anything with football at all. Maybe the roughness of the car seat that took you there, but the snapshot of your very first match. What else, Lynn?
Saying the wrong name.
Yeah, well, that's it. The game, once again, we said it and it happened. Because EastEnders this week, but it happens a lot in real life. Yeah, that's all right. They're just acting. They're just mooching around acting. I've been over there loads of times up there at Elm Street, and all them houses and all the best thing is the railway bridge over there. You walk up to the railway bridge. It's like plastic. Yeah, it's paper. It is. It is. You could lift it up with one hand. The entire railway bridge. That square's real, but the railings around it, again,
all just a facade.
Well, of course it is. And the house. That's why the Queen Vic, when they walk up to the Queen Vic, they push the door, and it only opens. You watch it. It'll only ever open 8 inches. There's nothing behind it. And then they have to cut to the. Of course they do. Now that's obvious, but you have a look. When anyone goes up to the Queen Vic, they'll always stand on the doorstep and have a conversation over their shoulder before going in, because you can't go in it. But we know that's they like to come magic. What else?
I did one of my first things where I had to stand pitch side and I had to do the team news at Chelsea, and I did the whole thing saying Tim Cahill instead of Gary Cahill.
Yeah, there you go. You said the wrong name. And then you realise
it's an easy mistake to make.
And we hope we hear other examples of that. We've got Steve in him, and I'm saying that. So what have you got?
Drawing attention to yourself in quiet places.
Theatres and that. It's just a moment where you had a coughing fit, as simple as that. But drawing attention to yourself in quiet places during wedding ceremonies, speeches, etc., etc.
Pretending not to be in.
No, that.
I do that all the time. If I decide I'm leaving my pyjamas on until midday, I always do that.
You can't. The thing is as well, you can't not answer the phone anymore, really, because you just don't answer it. We're not in 7 o'clock, so you don't answer the phone. But these days, people can be outside with their mobile phone.
Yeah.
These days, for the last 20 years. And so they think, well, the car's here, and they walk up, and that's when it gets into hiding behind settees, because it depends where your windows are, and they look through, and there you are.
But that's the thing, if you ignore the delivery at the front door because you're in your pyjamas, and then they decide they're just going to drop it and leave it by the bins at the side, they come round the side and they see you in the kitchen.
All of this, so we'll examine that with each, pretending not to be in.
Giving words to instrumental songs.
Yeah, oh, Coronation Street.
That's the favourite one, yeah.
They say most theme tunes are done like that, because, going back to EastEnders again, which we promised we wasn't going to talk about, didn't we? When it goes, everybody knows it's called the EastEnders. Of course it does.
Don't you do it to the Champions League?
Everything. You'll find most things, except the song Albatross, I believe, has actual lyrics in people's heads.
Really noisy animals.
Yeah.
Really noisy.
There were 2 parakeets outside our bedroom about 5 o'clock this morning, so anything you've got about owning animals is really noisy.
And what about the pros and cons of your parents owning a shop?
I was thinking my friend lived in a sweet shop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it was also a newsagent and tobacconist. But then maybe people want to tell us, well, my mum and dad had a chip shop. You know, there's some spots there with all that vinegar in the air.
Yeah.
So the pros and cons of your parents having a shop, please.
And this one, but you must remember me.
Yeah, take something back, particularly. I came in here yesterday. I bought this jumper. Did you?
No.
You must remember, you said, or even in private life, please, the pros and cons. No, not pros and cons. Just fitting time there. So you see, if you switch off for a second, they're by you and you're 1-0 down. Here's our friend Steve. Hey, Steve.
Good morning, Danny.
Thank
Good morning, Lindsay. It's nice to have you back.
Is it great to have Lindsay back? What did I say last week? I cannot wait. With all due, respect to Catherine, I said, when Lindsay's here, this place sings.
He thinks it would fool me.
It's nice to have one less Villa fan on the show.
We didn't get round to that with Catherine because we were enjoying her company. We didn't want to, in case Lindsay decided not to come back. She chases a pound note and why not? Steve, what have you got for us?
Well, my parents in the mid-80s moved from the Midlands. My father's dream was always to run a pub. So he found a spot in an area of Bristol called Kingswood, and we moved into the pub called the Rose and Crown.
I believe this is getting someone's name wrong,
yes,
isn't it?
it is,
okay.
Because we had a lounge bar, and there was an old chap who used to come in with his mate Stan, and he was a bit like Del Boy, a bit like Rodney and Trigger really. For 5 called me Chris.
Did he? And you never felt the need to put him right?
Well, his mates did. His friends used to say, no, Stan, his name's Steve. Oh, right, okay. And then he'd come up, right, please, Chris.
Well, I once sat with the magnificent Ray Gordon Allisons, and nobody bends it with those two. But while they were sitting there, I suddenly got this thing in my head, is it Alan Gordon? And I don't know why this happened to me. And then, because you have to direct a question to one or the other, Steve, I found myself just looking at the floor and going, Alan, and hoping he would just answer. I did that with the Jackson 5.
Well, the funny thing is, Danny, that where I work, we used to have two switchboard operators. One was called Rose and one was called Joan.
Yeah.
And I could never remember which was which, so I just called them both Roan.
Roan, no, that'll do. Yeah, make it.
But just a subplot to this. We moved, about 2001, we moved to a house in a different part of Bristol, and there was a nice old lady living next door, Dot, and the first time she said hello to me across the hall, guess what she called me?
Chris.
Indeed she did. Okay, then when she did call me Steve, but the first time it was, oh, hello, Chris.
I had a friend, Steve, once who called everyone horse, and he calls everyone horse, and I thought that's a great affectation. I was all right, horse, how's it going? Yeah, horse or two, I saw the other day. Horse is it? And then
I've heard like duck and chicken,
mate,
but never horse.
Horse, yeah, horse. So thank you, Steve. Yeah, the Jackson 5. Thank you, Steve. The Jackson 5. I sat with them once, and Michael Jackson.
You obviously knew Michael.
Well, Michael I'd started the interview with. One by one, all the others came in, and I thought, okay. And then the press officer who was with me said, as the boys turn up, could you put your questions individually to them, because they all have very different views on things. So aim your question at the Jackson you'd like to answer. And I thought, okay. And they all sat there looking at me, and I thought, all right. The oldest one is called.
I only know Michael and Jermaine. I couldn't even tell you the ones.
I knew the oldest one, and I thought, well, he looked like the oldest one. I thought, he used to be president of Yugoslavia. That's Tito Jackson.
Oh, Tito.
That's Tito. So then the youngest one, the unforgettable name, Randy Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
There's
back now.
And then two. I'm shuffling me notes. Got questions for us? Yes, I have. I thought, right then, one used to be in the parishes, Marlon Jackson. The other one? The easiest one of all. He's got this double name, Jackie Jackson. There's Jackie, because Jermaine had left, you see, by then.
Right.
Jermaine had left.
Oh, so Jermaine wasn't even in Jackson?
No, I couldn't get away with it. But I thought, what one's Jackie and what one's Marlon? So what I did, I looked at the floor and I said, is it always as hot as this in LA, Marlon? And figured the one who didn't answer, there's Jackie. That was clever, wasn't it? Here's Julian. Hey, Julian.
Hi, Danny.
Thank you for being there, Julian. This is Things Falling Out of Windows. What have you got for us, Julian?
It is 1996. I was at the Combined Services Catering School, which was based in Aldershot.
Yeah.
And building was a approximately 7 or 8 story building.
Wow.
And the RAF used to train on the 7th floor.
Right, okay.
We used to use copper pots, copper pans, which we had to polish and then hang up on hooks beside the windows. One day, the window opening outwards, the guy went to grab the pan, slipped out of his hand, and the heavy copper pot plunged 7 floors down the outside of the building, whereupon there was a gentleman that was employed to sort of tidy up outside, downstairs, sweep up in the bin compound, etc.
Yes.
Apparently the copper pan hit the ground, travelling at God knows what, narrowly missing him.
It did. Now, you see, I'm not part of the blame culture, Julian, but that's a pretty good claim if you're squashed flat by a copper pot. Because in cartoons, pianos and anvils are always falling out of high windows. Did he laugh it off, Julian?
I don't know. I mean, I've got to be a bit careful in saying this. I think the gentleman was employed was, how should we put this?
Well, very easier. You know these days. You say this and all of a sudden you're centre of a Twitter storm and I'll wash my hands of you and leave you out in the wind to twist to dry. Just answer the did he seem annoyed?
I think he was very shocked, yes. I think it certainly shook him up a little bit.
It would do. I mean, not recently anyway, but when a heavy copper pot falls 7 stories next to me, I tend to jump. I will flinch, and there's no shame in that, Julian. Thank you very much, our friend Julian in Amersham. Everyone's saying, I wonder what he's going to say now. You see, if he'd have said he was a bit slow, we could say that he was a bit slow. Well, people are a bit slow. And as I said to you when I came in this morning, there's not some funny looking people knocking about. There really are some funny looking people knocking. Coming along Oxford Street.
Takes all sorts.
if you come along Oxford Street, as my old man used to say, this time of the morning, London's busy Oxford Street. You can't help but say there's more out than there is in. And well, if you just want to see the full scope of human features and IQ, look along Oxford Street any time of the day. What do you got over there, Lindsay?
I've got an email actually about the sausage sandwich game from Mr. Freeman. And Mr. Freeman says, Danny, I'm an avid listener on Saturday mornings. I'm writing to you regarding the sausage sandwich game. I'm the Year 6 teacher at Barwick and Elmet Primary School, a small village on the outskirts of Leeds. Now, last Friday at about 3:15, I asked the children what they wanted to do for the last 15 minutes of the day before breaking up for half term.
How sweet.
It's quite normal for us to play a game to finish off the week. We sometimes play heads down, thumbs up.
What's that?
I don't know, I want to know.
What is that?
Or apple pie. Don't tell Ofsted, he says.
What is these two things?
I want to
You're
know.
just teasing us.
Heads down, thumbs up.
I listen to 5 Live.
Sounds like something from a rap song.
What is heads down, thumbs up?
Or apple pie.
Yeah, 2 sports I'm not covering. Go on.
Anyway, one boy chirped up, can we play red sauce, brown sauce on
Oh.
To which I replied, do you mean the sausage sandwich game?
Lovely.
And he said yes. So, now this put me on the spot, and this is where I need your help. As much as I wanted to play the game with my class and find out how well my class know each other, I just couldn't think up sausage sandwich game.
Yeah,
it's not that easy.
Seems easy, does it? Huh? That seems easy.
He says, my brain was already frazzled after a busy week. We had to settle for 2 rounds of heads down, thumbs up instead. So, could you please publish a sausage sandwich quiz book?
It's available from this. I'll just write care of this show at 5 Live, and we'll send you the necessary paperwork. And within these days, about 18 months, you are sent back some questions with a license to play it once and once only.
Well, he says
so that's already
the
in
junior
place.
edition would be very useful and popular in the school. You should get it out quick, Danny, because if you don't, raid your 4-wheel.
Yeah, well, exactly. Thank you for noticing that. Here's Katie. Hey, Katie.
Hello, how are you?
Good as gold, Katie. And so I'm glad to see this morning's subjects are innovating the audience more than usual. Because here's another one. Just as you said it, it happened. What's that, Katie?
It happened to me. It was on Monday night with the Preston North End Manchester United game.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So I'm not a fan of either club, but was hoping there for an upset. But just sat there watching the football, not really paying much attention until the moment when Merrill and Fellaini seemed to be elbowed in the face.
Yeah.
And at exactly the same time, I ended up with a nosebleed.
Go on.
Absolutely nowhere.
That is extraordinary. Now,
Absolutely nowhere. No warning.
he got elbowed in the face, and you got a sympathetic nosebleed.
And I got a nosebleed.
Do you have nosebleeds often, or was it just completely random?
Had a nosebleed for absolutely ages.
Lindsay, the frequency of Katie's nosebleeds is a small side issue.
She doesn't have
The
a full
fact
arm.
that she
No
has
warning,
sympathetic injuries with a well-known footballer is an area we've never covered. Now, you say it literally coincided because
At exactly the same time.
listen, don't throw a cup of pot at me. You don't look like him at all, do you? Because you may be twins. I heard this sympathetic thing happening with twins. You're not in any way, shape or form like
I really hope I'm not. I really hope
Well, I
I don't.
suppose there's something to say in there, although his hair was very fashionable with Angela Davis, a 70s rebel. They see twins, you know that happens with them. And
Well, who knows?
it is. There were 2 twins in the First World War, famously. One was a conscientious objector, and his brother wasn't, fought well in France, and his brother apparently during the Battle of the Somme took a bath, but his brother got steadily cleaner back in England. Nobody knows how that could happen. How long did your nosebleed last, Katie?
I would say only sort of a few minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly the same time.
Say if today, well, I can't say it, but say, it's a terrible thing to say, but he broke his leg today. You would suddenly not want to go out, wouldn't you? You wouldn't want to go out, Kate.
I should be extra careful.
Well, Katie, thank you very much indeed. That is the first time I've ever heard of something like that. Footballer gets injured, but you bear the scars. Beautiful, Katie. There. What's that you got over there, by the way? Who's that?
This is from the snapshot of your first match. It's what we're doing on the live text this morning. The thing that you most remember. Martin says Brighton 0, Forest 1, the 11th of October 1981 at the Goldstone. Dad wasn't really the football type, but having witnessed Peter Shilton in action, he said he really is the best. Ex-prolific Brighton and Hove Albion striker Peter Ward scored one of his 7 Forest goals, but I missed it whilst eating a pie. On the way home, Dad bought me a rubber Powerball at a garage.
That's the memory, because otherwise it's just a tale of a first game. He got a Powerball.
What is that?
Zectron. That's what they're made of. There's a thing called Zectron, and it's a thing that makes Super Balls bounce. So you know,
Just a bouncy ball.
you must know what a Super Ball is.
No,
No,
just a bouncy ball.
no, it's not a bouncy ball. These, look, yes. I mean, yes, of course, Super Balls. I don't know how to explain it to you. They come, they used to look like psychedelic colour, but
Right.
they're about this big.
Yeah,
And when you throw them at the ground, they don't just bounce; they go into the stratosphere.
go into orbit.
They really can. I used to live by railway arches, and we'd go and spend. No, he said 75 pence, but you wouldn't spend 15 shillings on one. You'd spend 25 pence,
Yeah.
maybe five, or maybe half a crown on one. And just try and bounce it up onto the railway lines because they could bounce that high. I'm surprised you never heard of Super Ball.
Well, yeah, I've never called it that. I would just call it a bouncy ball.
No,
It's better than that.
Any ball is a bouncy
It's a
ball.
supersonic bouncy
It's a
ball.
supersonic one. I mean, you've heard of Silly Putty, haven't you?
No.
Oh, Liz, you
Daniel.
barely live.
I know I haven't, have I?
Yeah.
What's silly putty?
I don't know. The whole audience now are saying, well, bring back Catherine. Alicia's lived. She's been out of St James's Park once or twice.
Well, being younger than you.
It's nothing to do with younger. Our previous correspondent was 60 odd and he's heard Silly Putty. Well, it was very much what, you know, the internet became. You could copy things with it and that.
Was it around in the 60s?
I think it's still around. Put it in your computer over there, Silly Putty.
Silly putty.
Silly Putty's still going. Here's Helen. Hey, Helen.
Hello,
Helen,
hi Danny.
Helen, you know what Super Balls and Silly Putty are, don't you?
Oh, I'm not quite so sure I'm an expert on that. No.
I resign. The audience are plainly made up of a lot of 5 Seconds of Summer fans who are barely 16. Helen, of things falling out of windows, what have you got for us?
Late 80s, picture of the late 80s, running a school trip with a group of staff from the local school down in Spain. We were down on a Spanish water sports holiday, and we were sitting, we hadn't been there very long, we were sitting in the hotel foyer, and we'd arranged to meet all the kids. We were aged 12, 13, down, we'd been 24 hours on a coach, and we said to them, you know, be downstairs in half an hour, get your room sorted out, and come down and meet us, and we'll have a chat about what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So all was going swimmingly well, and we were sitting in the hotel foyer, and in walked a local, what turned out to be a Spanish man, in a white shirt.
Yeah.
And it's one of those funny situations where you're looking across and thinking, gosh, doesn't he look funny? And he was covered in watermelon pips.
Oh, now how so? How could a man possibly be covered in watermelon pips?
Well, that's right. And you're thinking, gosh, doesn't he look funny? Ho, ho, ho. And then suddenly there's a dawn of realisation that actually you might be something part of the whole story here, and part of the plot.
How?
Anyway, it turned out that a couple of our lads had been up on their first floor balcony having a watermelon fight.
Oh, notorious watermelon fight. What do you mean a watermelon fight? What do you mean a watermelon
They
fight?
bought a watermelon, sliced it up, and they were just hurling it at each other across the hotel balconies, because all the balconies were next to each other.
Okay, I can see
And one
that.
piece of watermelon had gone over the side and straight on this man down who was walking in the street down the bottom.
And he'd come in to remonstrate.
And he had come in to remonstrate about some hooligans upstairs who had been throwing watermelon.
Well, I
there.
hope you did the responsible thing as it's part of your care. I hope you turned on your heel and walked out of the reception whistling, having nothing to do with it.
I think we sort of pretended that we weren't there, actually. Yeah, that's
No,
right. And those who were on that trip will remember it well. And the lad involved was the admission secretary of the school. So